Hello and welcome to Council Action. I'm Russell Inman, and this is the first Council Action now for 2014, so Happy New Year to everybody watching. We've got John Grib from Ward 2 joining us tonight to go through the January 13th council meeting. It was a short one, probably be a pretty short show unless you've got a whole lot going on in your ward, John.
Well, we'll mention a few other things, but in any case, Happy New Year,
Happy
Russell.
New Year, yes.
And, we'll
Brought it in safely. We survived the snowstorm.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I would like to say one thing before we get started on the agenda.
Please do.
And that's what Mr. Shildroth brought up at the end of the meeting about if we have some more snowstorms, snow emergencies, get those cars off the street so the snow plows can get through and clear the streets. So that's really important.
Well,
but,
I think we saw plenty of video on the news the last couple of weeks where it was more of inner city streets, but sure.
Yeah.
When the cars are piled up on the edges, it is hard for those plows to get through.
Because they have to kind of weave around. It's hard to do. So move the cars off the street if you can.
Yes.
Okay, so here we go.
Yeah, past record-setting lows. We're going to get through a meeting, and we had a certificate of recognition for Kyle Ratchow and a certificate of appreciation to the Marine Corps.
Yeah, this is kind of interesting for the certificate of recognition for Kyle. He's a part-time public works health department worker, a kennelman.
Kennelman?
Dog catcher.
Yeah.
So, that's what he was doing. He went out and caught 2 stray pit bulls by himself, apprehended those critters, and got them in the truck. The interesting thing was, though, after he captured these dogs, there was a young mother with a kid and their little puppy coming down the street. And boy, just think if he didn't do that, there could have been a real disaster.
Sure.
There. So he got the recognition for doing that and kind of doing a good job as a part-time employee. Even he knew what to do and did it right. The Marine Corps League, of course, they were recognized for the work that they do. And we have 2 members of the council who are Marine. You know, once a Marine, always a Marine. Right. So Mr. Caputa and Mr. Hernandez are served in the Marine Corps. So they went out and took part in the little ceremony there. We went to hearings from citizens, and Mr. Jerry Zeller came up and, well, he gave his opinion on some of the things that the mayor had put in the paper in previous weeks concerning some of the social activities of the council when council members kind of meet together at McDonald's or somewhere and have coffee. For some reason, that doesn't set well with the mayor. The other thing was another lady from Ward 7 talked about the upkeep property and mentioned that maybe new residents should have a little, I guess, a 1 hour, a half an hour primer on what you need to do when you own a house or live in a house. You need to own a lawnmower, cut your grass, you need to own a snow shovel, clean the snow. And apparently some people don't know this when they move in and rent a house or buy a house. And maybe not a bad idea, you know.
Find a way to work it in with the real estate agent selling the house to warn or inform some of
educate them
some of these first-time homeowners the responsibilities, what's really coming along with this house that they're buying.
Absolutely, and I think that the lady had a good point.
Yeah, you do tend to forget going from a rental ownership to a real ownership.
Sure. How
much extra work is going to come into play.
Yeah, a lot of work. We had one public hearing tonight, and it concerned what we call a ground sign or a pylon sign, one of them big signs, over at the shopping center on Lindsay Lane and Lindbergh.
This is where the old
Petco and Michael's, right? Well, they're renovating those buildings. They're putting a new facade on them and changing the design a bit to make them look more modern. And the request on this sign special use permit was to add a little flare, swirl type thing on the top of the sign, decorative
piece.
To bring the sign more into line with the style that they were doing on the buildings. And this required that the sign then be, instead of 25 feet high, about 27 feet high. The signs, pole signs, or whatever we want to call them, ground signs, are limited to 25 feet by special permit. But the council can authorize higher elevations for those signs, and this was 2 feet. It was not a big deal. I thought it was a good idea for the shopping center. So I requested that we had 3 readings on this tonight so that we could pass the ordinance and the owners of the shopping center could get on with the work and get it done. Otherwise, it would have had to go through the process of this public hearing, then a first reading, second reading, so it'd be a month away, and it was not a big deal. But the thing on paint the sign. So that did pass, and the council did agree to have 3 readings, and they passed the ordinance for the
And it's no
remodeling of the
it's no
sign.
additional advertising space. So nothing
No,
else really
just a little decoration on top. The second, under old business, we went to a second and third reading on a ordinance to rezone the property over on Florissant Road and Dunn by 270, where the CVS drugstore wants to build. And we've already had the public hearings on that, and the complications there were that they had to assemble some properties and then make sure the easements were all correct and that the leases were okay with the people who are leasing some of that property. And that's all been worked out with the lawyers, and there's a whole stack of legalese mumbo jumbo here that explains what the final agreement is with the leases and with the accumulation of the property. Mrs. Pagano, if you notice, she got up and excused herself from the hearing and went out of the room, went to the other room because Mr. and Mrs. Pagano lease part of that property for their car business.
Right.
So there was no conflict of interest. She bowed out. So the other 8 members of the council heard this request, had the second reading and the third reading, and the ordinance to rezone for the CVS pharmacy was passed at 8-0. So.
And this construction is going to take place where the gas station is right now, where there's an empty building next to the gas station.
Yeah.
And then is the egress still going to be where Joe's Auto Mart is now?
But yeah, I think they're going to come in up there, then have to put a little road in, a service road type thing. I don't remember exactly where the service roads were going to be, but they're going to.
So most of this is following the plan that we heard maybe several months
Sure.
ago when the plan started.
Right.
Okay.
So tonight was just to rezone it all into one parcel.
Good.
And so that's what we'll have. And everybody seemed to be in agreement with that, well, except for one speaker, Mr. O'Donnell. He thought that there should be a policeman on duty overnight. He brings up a good point, but then again, as Mr. Egan explained, maybe we really don't need that. So what we have here is, I guess, sort of a values conflict here. Mr. O'Donnell would like to see the policeman there. Mr. Egan, from his experience, Mr. Egan is a professional police officer, has been a detective, and he's a lieutenant on police force right now. Not Florissant Police Force, but a different one. So, you know, what Joe says carries some weight too. So the net result is there will not be a policeman on duty, but I guess if CVS would want to
CVS
do
may
that,
have a security guard on duty.
Sure, they
Just
can do that.
for their own safety.
Sure. So that was all resolved then, and it was passed and rezoned. On the board appointments, well, there were a couple of people appointed to the citizens' participation and one person to the Personnel Commission. A request for a liquor license from Kenny Trong on his business, the Rice House. Mr. Trong has a Rice House up on Lindbergh up near the Hazelwood line, but in Florissant, and he's doing pretty well there. Nice restaurant. He's going to open up another one down at the other end of Lindbergh down here, and he requested liquor by the drink license, and that was approved without any problem. He's been in Florissant a while, and we know him. He's a good businessman, a good neighbor.
His first one was just to carry out, and this way it was a chance for him to let some of his customers just come in and sit down and eat.
Right. So that was approved without any kind of a problem. Then we went to the bills for the readings, and of course I mentioned before the sign permit, special use permit for the sign.
Passed in 3 readings.
I asked for 3 readings. Everyone agreed, and it passed in 3 readings. So that was a good deal. Just get it going. It was not a big deal. The other amendment, or the other reading, was an ordinance amending some sections in our code book concerning employees working on political campaigns, more or less. Our ordinance currently reads that if you are a city employee in Florissant, you are prohibited from working on anybody's campaign in Florissant, which is a good deal because, you know, if the boss comes to you and says, Russell, I want you to go out and help this guy, and you don't really want to, well, you're in a trick bag there because you don't know, do I do what the boss wants? But in Florissant, we say it's prohibited. So there's no supervisor that can tell an employee they need to work on a campaign. However, the state passed a statute that said that first responders, and first responders would be firemen, policemen, ambulance people, are exempt from this ordinance. They can work on a political campaign. Why they did it, I don't know. I don't think it's a good idea, but the state legislature passed this. So the reason we have this on our agenda tonight is that we have to bring our ordinance into alignment to be compatible with the state statute.
Okay.
We cannot have an ordinance that is more restrictive than the state statute, or that conflicts with the state statute, I should say. So that's what this was all about, and of course that passed without a problem, 2 on 3 readings.
That brought us to council announcements.
Council announcements. Oh, there are 2 interesting ones, I guess. One announcement was that I think Mr. Caputa made this one, that on Saturday, January 25th at Fort Bellefontaine, there will be Eagle Watch. This is the time of the year the eagles are down there along the river, and since the river's not frozen over, they can get their food, get their fish. So on this day, on the 25th, from 12 till noon, the World Bird Sanctuary will have a real live eagle out there that you can get real close to and look at. Kind of interesting. I've been to some of these things. A good day, nice day to be out if the weather's decent.
Yeah, sure.
The other one was Mr. Egan talked about the Special Olympics and said on Saturday, February 22nd, they were going to have a polar bear plunge into Creve Coeur Lake. And
he's going to take a dip.
He was going to participate. And believe me, he says it was $5 to support him and sponsor him. I'll give him $5 later on tonight. I would like to see him do this. So it's for a real good cause for the Special Olympics. And so if anybody sees Mr. Egan out, give him the $5 and let him jump
wish
in
him
that.
luck.
Yeah, wish him luck. So that Mr. Shildroth mentioned the cars and the snowplow. When the mayor had his message, some of the things he talked about was a park grant for $219,000 to build some new restrooms in Bangert Park, which is a good deal. I mean, when you get the grant, that's newfound money, so it's not, you know, direct tax money of the people here in Florissant. It's the grant money that comes to us. out of the grants from St. Louis County or other places. But I think an important thing here too was the Christmas tree disposal. In the audience tonight was Chuck Barkham. Chuck Barkham owns Meridian Waste. He was here tonight with his son, who was working on his Eagle Scout requirements, and so he was getting his citizenship badge or something.
Right. Yep.
But while he was here, we wanted to thank Mr. Barkham for agreeing to pick up any live Christmas trees that anyone wanted to dispose of. All they have to do is put it out on a curb on the day of the normal yard waste pickup. If the tree's larger than 4 feet, cut it in half. The truck can only hold a 4-foot section.
Right.
So divide your tree by 4 and saw it up.
Yeah. It's nice of them to be able to do that.
Yeah, so it's really a good deal, sure. And I think one of the last things that Mr. Shildroth mentioned was January 23rd, we will have a council work session, probably here in these chambers. And everyone's invited to those council work sessions. You can sit in and listen. There's no real participation by the public. So that's pretty much our agenda, but I wanted to mention some other things. Russell, while I got the audience here.
They're all yours, John.
On Saturday, March the 1st, Mr. Lee, Mr. Caputa, myself, Mr. Egan, that'll be wards 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6, Mr. Stennett. We're going to have a ward meeting up at JFK. And we'll probably, serve hot dogs and chips and things. So we're going to try to get everybody together. Some of the other council people had a little picnic last fall over at one of the, it really turned out well, so we thought we'd kind of copy them, but this is going to be an indoor thing.
Okay.
We'll have some refreshments and some food, and we'll have all the wards 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6 there. If you have any interest in attending this, you will get a invitation. A postcard will be going out to everybody, but if you want to write me an email and ask anything about that ward meeting coming up or anything, that's one of the things I wanted to mention tonight. I read my email all the time. Several times a day I'm checking that. So if any citizens from Ward 2 or from Florissant want to contact me with any questions, I'll be glad to answer any emails that come in, and you can email me at ward2@florissantmo.com, and that comes through the server here, that gets shot out to my private computer. And so I would like to hear from citizens on anything, or send me an email and just say hello.
Good.
While we're talking about electronic media and things, the Florissant website has been improved considerably over the past several months. I would like everyone to kind of take a look at the Florissant website and maneuver around on it, spend a little time working with it. There's a terrific amount of information on there. There's also forms that you can get for various functions, various things that you might need, permits, whatever. There's a section about the city council, and it has every city council member's photograph and a little bit about their phone numbers or email addresses. And some of us even have a little spiel about our biography, bios. Pretty interesting. There's just a lot to see on that website, and that's www.florissantmo.com, I guess, isn't it? Or, yeah.
.gov.
I don't know.
Not .gov?
I don't think. Better check it. I think it's .com.
Okay.
What else, Russell? We covered a lot of things for a meeting that wasn't very long.
For a short meeting, John, I think we did well on time.
We did pretty well.
Yeah.
We did pretty well.
Well, we appreciate your time here tonight, John. Thanks for going through the meeting informing the residents with what's going on for the first meeting of 2014.
First meeting of 2014. Don't forget, send me an email if you have a question. You can call me too, but emails are just as good.
Emails are easy to get through.
Yeah, emails, because I can read those at any time of the day.
That's right.
You don't have to wait till I'm home.
That's right. Well, thank you for watching. This has been Council Action. Remember, check the Florissant website. It's been updated. Look for the most recent events there and more information to come on the next council meeting. I'm Russell Inman. We'll see you next time.
Yeah.